Meetings.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for being here today. We have our candidates here for Harris County Judge, Warren Howell, Orlando Sanchez. I want to thank everybody for coming. The goal for tonight is to have the opportunity to get to know the candidates directly, hear from them, their priorities, their leadership, their vision for Harris County. So a little about I'll just kind of talk a little about the office. Y'all could correct me later if I'm wrong, but so we don't have to use their time. The Harris County Judge presides over Commissioners Court. It's the governing body of the county. The responsibilities include overseeing the county's budget, coordinating county services, working with the 4 county commissioners, and serving as the Director of Emergency Management during disasters. So each candidate is going to have the equal time. We're going to start off with 3-minute opening statements. And Orlando, you're up first.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here this evening. I hope everybody can hear me okay. And, thank you for organizing this. My name is Orlando Sanchez. I'm a lifelong Houstonian almost. I came here in 1962 before 610 was ever built. And graduated from Bel Air High School, and then I joined the U.S. Air Force, and then I served with the Texas Air National Guard out here at Ellington Field. I've spent some time out here in the community. I used to run ambulance as an EMT for North Channel EMS. I then went to the University of Houston, graduated with honors with a degree in political science. I started law school, but I realized that I didn't want to spend 3 years briefing cases, that I'd rather write the law, so I was a Republican nominee in 1992. With the Texas House of Representatives. I stayed active in the community and in the party. Betsy Lake was our chairwoman at the time. Actually, before that, it was Sherry Johnson. That's how long I've been around. I can remember just about every chairperson that we've had in the Republican Party of Harris County. I then was elected to the Houston City Council. I served 6 years as an at-large member of the council. And in 2001, I was term limited, and I had served with Bob Lanier and Lee Brown. And I saw the financial disaster that was going to face the city of Houston based on Lee Brown's horrible decisions as mayor for 2 years. So I decided to challenge him. I started the race with zero money in the bank account. Lee Brown had $2.5 million head start, and it became the most historic race in the history of Houston. We voted more people in the runoff than the general election. We doubled the Hispanic turnout in the city of Houston, and I got 74% of that vote, which taught me something. And then I stayed active, and I ran against the former chairman of the Democratic Party for mayor of Houston, Bill White. Unfortunately, I lost that race. And then after that, I was elected county treasurer for Harris County, served 12 years with Robert Eccles, and then I had the opportunity to serve with Ed Emmett until 2018. When many Republicans didn't realize that the Texas Organizing Project, funded mostly by George Soros, had invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Texas. And in 2018, you saw what happened. We lost by a margin of over 120,000 votes. Now, we've crawled our way back a little bit, but we've had 8 years of a rookie named Lena Hidalgo, and you guys have seen the disaster. I also serve on the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Hat for over 30 years. And I still have my credentials as an ex officio director. They haven't been pulled because I haven't asked for any free tickets. So I pay my way and I work. Thank you all for coming. Look forward to answering the questions, and I'll turn it over to the Vice County Judge, Warren Howell.
I promise not to exploit my opponent's youth and inexperience from my own. I'm Warren Howell. I'm a native Houstonian, a lifetime business owner, Air Force veteran, and I have never been in politics until 2022, which happened because of our ridiculous COVID-19 response. And I realized at that time that county judge was front and center the reason for almost $600 million in damage to Harris County. Yep. 5,000 businesses closed their doors for good. 40,000 people lost their job. All because of this crazy woman Not all women are crazy. But this one, it's, so that got me going. And I've been in business forever, so this is what I call the finish of my life. I want to complete my dash. I know I can fix it. So I started studying Harris County government and everything that's wrong. And boy, I got a good taste of it today while I was at Commissioner's Court. These people have no clue what they're doing. They act like they do, and they love themselves. And if you don't believe it, listen to them talk. But what I saw today was the craziest thing. They're trying to unionize all of Harris County. We just went through a $200 million deficit. We're over $5 billion in mature debt, and they're wanting to unionize things. And you should have seen all the union people there supporting it. It was absolutely ridiculous. The way this works, you go into the Legistar system, and as long as you're a department, any department person can do this, can make a submittal to get on the agenda. So it goes through the management, the OMB, it's the Office of Management and Budget. They determine whether or not it can go on the agenda. They run it through legal to make sure it's legal, and if it's coming from a certain department, they make sure that the department has a budget to cover the money they're asking for, and then it goes into the agenda and to be decided on at Commissioner's Court. What's missing in this vetting process is nothing that has to do with non-statutory issues should be in this agenda. But half of this is non-statutory stuff that they even recognize themselves that it was worthless, and they say we're going to pass on items 1 through 44, and we're going to pass through items 200 through 235. I mean, it was crazy. But in here, I've preached and preached, we do not need to send inmates to other states. And they're trying to renew the contract right now with LaSalle for $38 million. The Office of Administration, which we didn't need for 185 years, they want $88 million for solar panels, which we all know what good that is. And the whole department doesn't need to exist. We didn't need it for 185 years. I'm going to get rid of it. But the department of the county administrator was sitting right in front of me, and it made me sick to know that she's getting over $400,000 a year. And the, pardon my French, dumbass commissioners hired her, paying her, they only make 200 or 185, whatever it is. They're paying someone twice what they're getting. Who here owns a business? Would you pay anyone twice what you get? I mean, you wouldn't do it. Anyway, I've run businesses all my life, and I'll use my business experience to straighten this mess out. And then when it's straightened out, I'm not going to worry about staying long enough to get a pension. I'm just going to go to the ranch and wish you all the best. I'm Warren Howell, and I am going to do this, not for me, but for all of us, because finally someone needs to show up and fix it, and no longer put up with what I saw today.
Thank you, Warren. So we have 1 minute answers to these questions. Why are you running for Harris County Judge? And what changes would you bring to Harris County government?
Well, as I said, the only reason I'm running is because I know I can fix it. I've studied government for 5 years, and I know what they're doing wrong. The vetting process on the agenda has to be changed. We have to go in and do a forensic audit on all these departments and get rid of a bunch of overpaid people. and people that we don't need. And they have like, if you were a contractor working and building a sidewalk, you will not have one inspector show up from the county, you'll have 4. Everything is completely upside down, and they're not going to fix it unless someone with business experience, somebody from the private sector, somebody who is one of you. I'm just like you. So picture yourself being able to go in and finally work in commissioner's court and do away with all the non-common horse sense stuff. They have no horse sense.
Time.
All righty, Orlando, the question is why are you running for Harris County Judge and what changes would you bring to Harris County government?
Well, I like Warren, I thought I was gonna go to the ranch as well, and then I started watching all the people that were filing for the position of county judge, and one of the biggest concerns, obviously you know that I was the last one to file. My biggest concern, and the reason I got into it, is because we had a nice enough gentleman by the name of Marty Langton, who is not with us anymore, but he was the head of the Texas AFL-CIO. And the entire campaign that I talked about, the dangers of unionizing 30,000 plus employees in Harris County. Now let me tell you why that's dangerous. Some of you, as I look around the room, you look like a very young crowd. But let me take you back to 1975. New York City filed for bankruptcy, and they asked President Gerald Ford for federal funds to bail them out. Remember that. Cook County, Illinois, Chicago, 2 summers ago, they shut down the schools, they shut down the hospitals. That's it?
Just when you were.
Oh, wow, he had 20 hours.
What?
Can I finish that?
Go ahead.
So the teacher union shut down the schools, and then the nurses union shut down the hospitals. LA, and by the way, Cook County's $40 billion in debt guaranteed by property taxes of Cook County. LA County is $70 billion in debt guaranteed. And what do all those 3 counties and the boroughs of New York have? Unions, collective bargaining. Guess what we got last year when the firefighters got us to do pay parity in the city of Houston? Collective bargaining. Most of you didn't hear about that. What does that mean? That means that the mayor and the city council cannot decide how much we, the taxpayers, are going to pay our employees. Guess who decides? An arbiter, usually that goes with the union. So we're going down that dangerous road of piling huge amounts of debt on the taxpayers, guaranteed by our property taxes. That's why I'm running.
All righty, Orlando, the question is, county judge presides over the commissioner's court and must work with commissioners. What leadership style will you bring to build a consensus to move Harris County forward?
Well, since 1962, when I moved to Houston, I've known many county judges. In fact, the reason my family's in Houston is because former County Judge Roy Hoffines hired my father as his first Spanish voice in Major League Baseball for the Colt 45s. That's how I ended up in Houston. But I'll tell you that I have admired Robert Eccles. I was a dear friend of John Lindsay's. But one person that really stands out to me, because he really led in a manner that was impressive to me, and obviously the voters of Harris County, was Judge Ed Emmett.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to lead in that style where we focus on the critical components of Harris County's duties: roads, infrastructure, managing our public safety, flood control, making sure that we spend the money where the hydrologists and engineers tell us to spend it, and not based on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the zip code you live in. If you're low income, you're going to get all these projects. So again, in the style of Ed Emmett.
All righty. Warren, it's the same question.
Well, I'm not sure if I'd be in the style of Ed Emmett, because I'm going to go in and using their system. Most of county judge agenda will be in here for each commissioner's court. And I do run the court. That's my job. And my style, I'll get along with people. I've been getting along with people for 50 years. But we will focus on infrastructure. We'll focus on public safety. We'll focus on getting the jails up to speed where they need to be so we don't have to ship inmates everywhere. And in order to make this happen, you have to run court without allowing all this non-statutorial, absolute, unbelievable stuff that I witnessed today. So you won't recognize Commissioner's Court with me, because by 11:30 the speakers will be through. We'll break for lunch at 1 o'clock. We'll do the county's business up till 4. From 4 to 5 we'll have a press conference and all go home. Very simple.
All righty. This is a priorities question, Warren. What are the top 3 priorities you would focus on if you were elected to Harris County Judge?
That's an easy one. First thing I'm going to do is have the legal department file motions to get us out of the O'Donnell consent decree. That's going to save about $150 million a year. We have got to finally get away from it. We could have had it not been for Rodney Ellis. The second thing I'm going to do, because I know of the surplus that we're getting at Harris County Toll Road, I'm going to drop the Harris County Toll Road fees immediately by 30% while we go in and restructure it, and hopefully at the end of that I can drop it another 10 or 20%. The toll roads are costing people too much money. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to organize, and guess who gave me this idea? Linwood Moreau, right back there, 4 or 5 years ago, and we talked about how we're going to organize all the agencies, get overlap, and get back to public safety where we have law enforcement available at every emergency in a reasonable length of time.
All righty, Orlando, the same question. What are the top 3 priorities you would focus on if you were elected to Harris County Judge?
Well, priority number 1 is to cut property taxes in Harris County. They're killing us, they're killing our businesses. We're driving people outside of the county, into Fort Bend, into Montgomery County, into Waller County and surrounding areas. We're building everybody else's economic base, we're destroying ours. So property cuts are priority for me. As you remember, as a Houston City Councilman, I won the Harris County Republican Party's Political Courage Award for cutting property taxes for the first time in decades in the city of Houston. So prudent fiscal management is important to me. Remember, I am a certified county investment officer. I've been a county treasurer for 12 years back when we had money in the bank. Number 2, I want to make sure, like Warren, to make sure that the county commissioners aren't scraping $450+ million of our toll road money and putting them in their precincts for their pet projects, like Leslie Briones, who mails out flyers 3 times a week at taxpayer expense. And then number 3, Warren may not be aware of this, but the O'Donnell case does expire in September of this year. We will extricate ourselves out of it one way or another. But the most important thing I want to do is I want to tell you that you folks fund over 12,050 law enforcement officers in Harris County. And if you call 911, usually takes in the city of Houston anywhere between 10 and 12 minutes for a priority 1 call to get a response. There's no reason a peace officer that you're paying for that's around the corner at the donut shop can't respond to our calls. So I'm going to create a public safety district where any first responder, certified peace officer responds to our emergency.
All righty. This question here is going to be about property taxes and budget. Harris County manages billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars. What is your approach to managing the county budget and addressing property tax concerns? This one's for you.
Well, I just answered that by saying I'm going to cut property taxes in Harris County. You know, a lot of the Democrats like to talk about affordability, but what they don't tell you, it's what's killing the housing market is taxes and insurance. And those are local issues that the federal government has nothing to do with. So if we cut property taxes, if we tell insurance companies, because we regulate insurance companies in Texas, we can cut the cost of housing in Harris County. So obviously, as county treasurer, we had money in the bank every year. We were paying down our outstanding debt. There's 2 types of bonds that counties can issue. One is called a general obligation bond, Those are the ones guaranteed by your property taxes. And then there are revenue bonds. Revenue bonds are used to build sports palaces like Enron Field in the day, Toyota Center, NRG Stadium. Those are revenue bonds. We are not responsible for those through our property taxes. But we have to make sure that we keep our debt down and we don't become like New York, Cook County, and Los Angeles County. So prudent fiscal management. I've been on the board of the Bank of Directors of Capital Bank, which is located here in this community, for 18 years. I'm on the board of the largest hospital corporation in the United States, HCA Hospital. And I also, for the last 15 years, have been a trustee of the University of Houston Foundation. We manage over $500 million for the university scholarships and the colleges. And I was the chairman of the investment committee. And frankly, we did very well for the university.
Thank you, Lando. Warren, I'm going to ask you the same question. What is your approach to managing the county budget and addressing the property taxes? I let him go a little long, so go ahead.
2 minutes is what he had.
2 minutes. I want to cut property tax. I want to make, for senior citizens, I want no property tax.
Amen. Yes.
But we have to first fix the system where we're $500 to $600 million upside down. We've got to get that $500 to $600 million back into the general fund. And the only way we can do that is to shut down all the non-statutory expenditures. Now, believe it or not, parks and libraries are non-statutory, but I like parks, but I don't know why we're in the library business. Some of these libraries will make excellent jails.
Depending on where they're at.
Depending on where they are. So, and they can read a book while they're there. Maybe they'll learn something. But you got to straighten out our government. You never get anything good from bad government. So my first priority in to straighten out the budgets is to straighten out our government and make it operate efficiently as it should. Then, and only then, are we able to go in and cut taxes. Only way it'll work.
All right. This is a public safety question. Warren, you answer this one first. What role should Harris County government play in supporting law enforcement, courts, and public safety?
Well, Harris County Commissioners Court funds the Sheriff's Department. We, just in here today, they're funding $19 million for cameras and radios. So, but that needs to be reformed to where, I was talking to my old friend Joe Dana. He said there were 6,000 emergency channels during the last rodeo. He says we really need community channels where people can communicate with each other and respond and actually create a safe environment. So we'll get all of this organized. There's 75 agencies in Harris County. We'll get them organized. We'll have to get them to agree. He calls it's a security district. I call it Harris County Defense Association. As a member of the association, we've got to be able to find you. You've got to have a GPS device on you. And if you're a member of the association, 911 will be able to, by computer, figure out who's close to the scene, their phone number, call them, and get them on the spot while it's happening, not after the fact, to investigate.
Randall, what role should the Harris County government play in supporting law enforcement, courts, and public safety?
Well, it's our priority number one, and the number one priority of any government is to provide for the safety and well-being of our citizens. A lot of people think law enforcement is just police officers and all of our constables. It's more than that. If you look at the prosecutor's office, the district attorney's office, that's where it all starts. This backup that you're seeing, and the reason we have such a high population in the Harris County Jail, is because of a lack of adjudication of defendants that are waiting for their day in court.
Yep.
So when they're waiting for their day in court, where are they housed? Inside the jail, which is over capacity, and that's why we're having to send them out of the state. That's got to be eliminated. So we've got to make sure that we quit scraping off the funds from the Toll Road Authority, offering all kinds of studies. You know, you take flood control, for example. I can't tell you how many times they've studied flood control in the Kingwood and the Lake Houston area. We don't need any more studies. They're just passing out contracts to all their buddies. So the priority ought to be funding enough district attorneys to eliminate the backlog that we have. I know Sean Tier was on TV yesterday announcing that the backlog is eliminated. I can tell you it is not. And so that's where it starts. And when you start moving these people out of the county jail, paid for by our local Harris County taxpayers, and move them into the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, you will get quick and efficient adjudication of criminals, and that will improve every neighborhood's life.
All right. The next question is about flood control and infrastructure. Orlando, you can answer this one first. Flooding remains to be a major issue in Harris County. What actions would you take to accelerate flood mitigation and infrastructure improvements?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would go to the legislature and by some sort of statute, create a regional flood control authority. We have the Harris County Flood Control Authority, but remember, folks, that was fine in the 1960s, right? But now we have Montgomery County, Waller County, all of the counties to the north and west of Houston that are focused on one thing, and that is building their tax base so they can bring in more revenue. They're not worried about flood control. Why? Because the water flows from their communities down to the coast. It's got to come through Houston and every community in Harris County. That's why we're getting these excessive flooding episodes. Imagine taking a glass of water that's half full and then putting your fist into it. What happens to the water in the glass? It overflows. Well, that's what happens when you have forest area in Montgomery County and Waller County, and they have these massive developments and they pour 3,000 acres of concrete. That water can't flow into the ground, so it runs off into the San Jacinto River, into the tributaries, into Lake Houston, which is the receptacle for all that water, and then overflows, and then our county's flooded. So creating a flood control district of all the counties surrounding Harris County is the only way we're going to address, in a regional way, flood control that affects all of us in Harris County.
We're on the same question. What action would you take to accelerate flood mitigation and infrastructure improvements?
Well, I've got an advantage over most people. I can read blueprints. And I can read plans and topographies. And I know what I'm looking at when I see retention. And these developments that are happening in Montgomery and other counties, I don't see them stopping. So what do we have to do? We have to increase our retention and storage. So according to Tom Ramsey, we have $3.5 billion available to us for flood control. So we've got to go to the areas that are most flood prone by the scientific studies that we have at hand and double, if not triple, our retention and storage, because that's the fastest way to get us to flood control. Everything else is going to take way too long, and by then we're flooding. So we have to take action. There's some good plans in place. Since I can read plans, I want to be able to see what they're doing and know that the money is being spent where it needs to be spent.
All right. This is an emergency management question. The county judge leads emergency response during disasters. Warren, what improvements would you make to the disaster preparedness and response?
Boy, during the last hurricane, where were the trucks with ice and water driving around? Did you notice anyone showing up with a chainsaw to cut that tree that was blocking your street or your driveway? And where were the cranes to pull the tree off your high lines or off your deal? We have to make arrangements in advance. Not that we have people sitting on the couch with a chainsaw, but we have to make arrangements in advance so that we know where we're going to get the labor and the equipment to actually respond to an emergency immediately. We won't have to worry about anything. The first call you make, of course, is to the FEMA locally local representative, I get that. But while he's doing what he's doing, we're gonna be sending the trucks out with water and ice. We're gonna be sending an army out with chainsaws, and we're gonna get back to normal as fast as humanly possible. That's my plan.
Orlando, same question. What improvements would you make to the disaster preparedness and response?
Well, you've all heard the term that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome, correct?
Correct.
9/11, what was the biggest issue and impediment to law enforcement and firefighters?
Communication.
What?
Communication.
Exactly. Lack of communication. And Robert Eccles worked with Motorola about 15, 18 years ago to create a communication system where all first responders in this region could overhear themselves communicate and talk to each other. Here it is, 2026. Constables can't speak to Houston Police Department. HPD can't speak to the sheriff. HISD police officers can't speak with the constables. Fire department can't speak with any of the law enforcement. It is an unmitigated disaster. And so the first thing I would do is get a communication system where everybody can hear instructions clearly, find out where the crises are in certain regions. And by the way, we already have a GPS system. Every law enforcement officer, every paramedic and first responder in Harris County carries a cell phone paid for by you, the taxpayers. All you have to do is turn on the location service and your dispatchers know exactly where you are. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just have to operate very smartly.
All right, we're in a rapid response round. 30 seconds questions. Be pretty quick on it. I'm not going to hold you exactly to it. But what is the biggest challenge facing Harris County, Orlando?
The Astrodome. I think that's the question every county official wants to avoid. No, obviously, law enforcement and public safety is the number one issue facing us.
Warren?
I agree. Law enforcement, public safety, and corruption. Because if you don't know that Rodney Ellis and these people are stealing you blind, think again.
Yeah.
They lay awake at night figuring out how they're going to get more money from you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
It is crazy. We have got to shut that down.
Yes.
Warren, one reform that you would implement in the county government?
I would change the vetting process on agendas to include statutory requirements.
Orlando?
I would immediately implement an ethics code for county employees and elected officials.
Yeah.
All right. What leadership does Harris County need right now? Orlando, this is yours. For you.
A new county judge.
That's a one if I ever heard one. That was good.
Warren?
A new county judge that knows how to run a meeting. Hello.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, and knows how to, when they say the speakers get a minute, that's what you get. And then all of a sudden, you don't, with a speaker, start having a conversation back and forth that lasts 5 minutes. I mean, the whole thing is not, they can't run a meeting. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not sure they could handle a Boy Scouts meeting, frankly.
All righty. That was pretty much it on my questions. Tammy, did you have a question?
I do. Uh-oh. 2 minutes, that's what I ended up giving y'all because 1 minute was not enough, obviously. Why do you think you can win this election?
This goes to Orlando.
Who started the last one?
Well,
Orlando.
Go for it.
Orlando.
I'll be happy to take that. The last time that I was on the ballot, remember that I told you that in 2001, we had the most historic race in the history of Houston because we voted more people in the runoff than voted in the general election. That has never happened in the history of Houston, number one. We doubled the Hispanic turnout and I received 74% of that vote. I have a history of winning crossover votes. In 2014, I was the highest vote getter in Harris County next to Judge Emmett. in 2018, when I appeared on the ballot the last time, I received the highest number of votes. I received 54,000 more votes than Greg Abbott did in Harris County when he ran for governor 4 years later. And I received 9,028 more votes than Alex Mueller received after spending $10 million in contributions against Lena Hidalgo. Now, whoever wins the primary, give us half that money, but I can tell you, I am the one that can cobble together independents, Hispanic voters, conservative Republicans, because as you've seen our turnout, you saw that we got our rear ends kicked in the turnout in Harris County. Republicans did not turn out like Democrats did. So we have to get somebody that can speak to every community in this county. I can do that. And that's what I pledge to do in November.
Warren?
I want to see a show of hands for anyone that thought I was even going to make the runoff.
We all agree.
Some of y'all are lying. It's okay. I beat the AFL-CIO. I beat TLR. I beat Terry Lowry in the link letter. I beat Mattress Mac, for crying out loud. I beat Governor Abbott and his picks, for crying out loud. I beat the AFL-CIO, Firefighters Union. We are here, why? Because I've got an incredible team of professionals. She was on the Trump team to get him to win in this whole area. I have a great team. I've got a great message. And our message is such that it resonates. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Muslim, Baptist, Buddhist. Who doesn't want clean, well-maintained streets? Who doesn't want to have a jail system where we don't have to ship anyone anywhere? And who doesn't want public safety? Who doesn't want all the things? Who doesn't want toll roads running what they should cost and not costing people going to work $300 and $400 a month?
Right.
Who doesn't want this? So everything that I want, my agenda is your agenda. Period. And I think we'll appeal to everybody who will listen. I don't care if you're an independent. I went to Sagemont, for crying out loud, and I had people come up and say, I'm voting for you. And these are stout Democrats. We will go to the Democrat strongholds, but I have a good budget, great team, a great message, and I built this team not just to go through the primary. I built it to go all the way to November, because we have an opportunity to change the way Harris County does business, not just for the next 4 years, but for generations. The changes we make, I'm going to make them permanent. We're going to codify with laws in Austin, and we're going to make changes that people can't even imagine. We'll have a great place to live, work, own a business, and raise a family. Thank you.
I'm going to put our board member, Galen Devine, on the spot and see if she's got a question.
So, we'll do this from sitting down and, so I think one of the questions that I would like to ask is, in the November election, the down ballot candidates are so incredibly important, and we know the further down the ballot you get, we start seeing the undervoting
Yes.
or falling off, right? So whichever of you win, we're all on the same team for November, right? Our goal
Correct.
is to beat the Democrats, right? So
Correct.
that is our goal,
Correct.
100%.
right?
Correct.
So what will you do to help push people to vote for those down ballot, the judges, and help us win all the way down the ballot?
Me first?
Sure, go.
You know what? We have to go to meetings with them and talk for them. We have to tell all the people that we have working for us to support them. We have to make it a unified effort, because we have got to win in November. I just heard an interview the other day with Anise Parker. It was the worst
Worthless.
Waste of time. She said, that she's going to build committees and listen to the people, and the people will tell her what we need to be doing, and that's how she'll operate the first month in business. And I went, you guys, you don't have a clue as to what you're gonna do. So we have to win. We can't let any more Lena Hidalgos take power. And that's exactly what Anise Parker is. She is another Lena Hidalgo, just a different name.
There you go.
Yeah. Me.
Did you get that question?
I got the question. So, when I jumped back into the race this year, Marty Langton was telling everyone that, Orlando, he's been away for 10 years. He spends a lot of time in Montana. Yes, I have a house in Montana. I pay property taxes in 4 school districts around the country. I do own property. But let me tell you what I've been doing since 2017. A lot of people don't know this. In 2016, with the help of Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans, I created a political action committee called Texas Latino Conservatives. And I began traveling every county in Texas, beginning with Valverde County, which is situated just west of Uvalde. And then I went along the Rio Grande River into Maverick County, Eagle Pass, Texas. We elected the first Republican young man at age 18 as the chairman of the Republican Party. We elected Tony Gonzalez. We just elected a young man as a conservative mayor of Eagle Pass, Texas. Has never happened. Then we moved to the east, to Dimmitt County. We flipped that county. Then we moved all the way down to Cameron County and Hidalgo County. I trained Myra Flores in 2017 in Brownsville, Texas, and a shy young lady who went online, and here's what I learned. A young lady that went online and in short order had over 40,000 followers. Born in Mexico, her parents had always voted Democrat, but she started sharing her values. And guess what? 6 months later, I get a call from Myra Flores. She says, I'm running for U.S. Congress. I said, nothing like starting as district clerk, county treasurer, right? She's going for the top. Guess what? She gets elected. And so what we've been doing for the last 10 years is, and by the way, follow the demographic changes in Texas. The Hispanic population is growing and exploding. But here's what most people don't understand. Their values are our values. Freedom, faith, community, hard work, independence, liberty. All we've got to do is talk to them about that, and they rush to us because the Democrats have done us a favor. People wonder, oh, how did we flip South Texas? Most Border Patrol agents and DPS officers are Hispanics. Hispanics overwhelmingly join the U.S. Armed Forces. They love this country. So when we tell them that the Democrats want their children, their little boys, to come back little girls from public schools, when we tell them that they can't go to their Catholic churches or their churches down south when you have a COVID, or when we tell them that we're going to defund ICE because their homes are being run over by drug cartels, and by the way, we're going to defund your local police officer, that don't work, folks. So all we've got to do is deliver the message of freedom, opportunity, liberty, family, and they will vote. This is what I've been doing for 10 years. So that's how I plan to flip Harris County. We have more than enough conservative families in Harris County that will vote for us once they hear our message.
All right. So we're down to closing statements. Lando, 2 minutes?
Uh-oh.
A question from the floor.
Not all.
Okay for me to ask
Just
a
kidding.
question?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I have a question, and the message is wonderful. I love hearing the message. But we know that Harris County is run by Democrats. So my question to you both is, your message is wonderful, you get elected, how are you going to be able to put your program forward in a very Democrat council, city?
Well, first of all, that's real easy. You take Precinct 3, which is Leslie Briones. She's on the bubble. I'm sorry, Precinct 4. Precinct 3, it used to be the old Precinct 3, and Steve Raddick's running in that. you have an item on the agenda and you turn until, this is if we don't win our majority, because I think we have a chance of winning the majority. We'll win the county judge and we have a chance of beating, either Adrian Garcia, which by the way, his precinct and House District 145, I think Marianne Perez was carried by Trump.
Yes.
144?
Yes.
Yeah, so if we don't rest on our laurels like Republicans have been lately, and we get energized and fired up and go vote, we can flip 2 seats on the county. But even if we don't, you look at Leslie Briones and you say, are you really going to vote with Rodney Ellis on this issue? Because she's got to explain that to her community. Remember how much heat Adrian Garcia took for the $500,000 for the gay softball World Series? I can assure you, he ain't doing that again. And so you've got to put them on the spot. But I firmly believe, with the help of Greg Abbott, who pledged $25 million for the grassroots effort, that we will flip Harris County. And let me just say this, and I'll close with this, or I guess I can say it in my closing statement. This race is critical, because guess who gets to redistrict Harris County? Those that you elect in November.
Yep.
And if they keep the districts that they are, or fortify them for Democrats, we will never win Harris County again. And by the way, we can't stand to lose Texas, because we will not elect another conservative president in my lifetime or your children's lifetime. So this is critical, folks.
He's right. We have to negotiate. If we don't get our majority, we have to negotiate. But, every Friday, I'm going to have a radio program. It's going to be called The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. We'll play that Clint Eastwood song. And I'll tell the folks every week what's going on that's bad and what's ugly and what's good. Now, the bad and the ugly will outnumber the good. But we'll know we're having success when that flips, when the good outnumbers the bad. But these people are negotiable. You can work with Leslie Briones. She's not completely crazy. She's just a little crazy. Or, I get it. If you're a little crazy, you're still crazy.
Exactly.
But we can negotiate. Like I say, you have to put pressure. I do believe Adrian Garcia, though, would vote for another softball match. He is that crazy.
He's not
Well, he
gonna
will
be
if
there.
it needs
He's not gonna be
buses.
there.
Yeah, he's not gonna be there.
Oh, they'll have a lot of softball matches.
He's not gonna be there to vote for that.
Whichever one of y'all win.
But you have to sit down and negotiate, and and also, you don't have to have a vote. If you're not getting a vote and you think you need to stop, I'm going to stop and say, we're going to put this out for further discussion, move on to agenda and such, because that is one thing that we can control as county judge, and I will do that. If I think I'm not getting the vote, I'm going to say, we're going to put that for discussion at a later date. Let's move on to the next agenda item. And that right there will gives us another week or two of negotiations before we bring it back on the floor for another vote.
Thank you.
Well, before we get to the closing statements, we're here to take back Harris County, and that's it.
Yes.
We could win the county back and a bunch of other seats like 144. The big win will be if Greg Abbott wins Harris County, we will get control over our early voting locations. All those precinct judges, all those election judges who used to be presiding judges that are now all, they're not presiding judges, will get their judge seat back and we'll get more control over that. So that's one way to look at it. Orlando, close.
Before you close, I want to ask one more question.
All right.
And it was brought on by Gay Lynn's question.
All right.
So she made the statement that we're all in this together, and I saw head shaking and everything.
Absolutely.
I would like a commitment from you, each, saying if the other wins, that you're all in for that person.
Well,
And that you, wait a second. This is a fight, and this is our last stand, honestly.
It really is.
And we need each of you to get behind the other one, whoever wins, that says, I'm gonna bring my supporters, I'm gonna bring my donors, and I'm gonna keep on the campaign just like I was still running.
All the way down the ballot.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I wanna hear commitments, cause you're being videoed and recorded. And I want it recorded.
Well,
And if you're not
just
willing
shout
to
it
vote,
out.
I know that too.
Tammy, I will give every ounce of energy, every resource that I have, every volunteer I have, and I already introduced him as my vice county judge. We are obviously in this together. Warren and I have spent, I guess, the last 6.5 months fighting, pretty much dovetailing each other on issues that we think are important. So Warren would have 100% of my vote. But here's what I want to leave with you guys. When I ran for mayor 25 years ago, a quarter century ago, I lost with more votes than people turned out and voted in the Republican primary.
It's true.
Think about that. I lost with 180,000 votes in a runoff in December. We voted 179,000 total votes in the county judge race, Republicans. What I'm asking y'all is a commitment to go out and turn out everyone that you know in this county. Otherwise, this, folks, is an exercise in futility.
That's right.
Me and Orlando were friends before we even started running. So it goes without saying that we support each other 100%. And he would make a great department head.
Oh, you can't beat that.
I'll go work for Michael Wolf.
He'll make a great
We'll be back on
department
the
head.
bridge.
We're gonna repurpose the auditing department and for our own purpose, to create our own Doge. And he would just be great at that. But if he is to win, I'll throw my support behind him. I'll go and talk for him. I'll do whatever I have to do to unify the Republicans. But he's right. We have got to get people to go vote. They have to understand how important it is. To be honest with you, if all Republicans voted, we're red. We're red right now. And we never lose. So that is our problem. It's not that we're blue or we're purple. We are really red, but we just can't get everybody to go vote. So our job, your job, everyone's job is to get the people to the polls. And
We do, but we have to have fairness in our elections, and that is not happening. There were a number of polling places that allowed people to vote after 7 o'clock, and that is wrong.
well, as long as they were in line, I think it was what
You
they were
have to
using.
be
Is that
in
right?
line and have a patrolman there
Yeah.
to stand there, but there were many polling places that were open 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night.
Well, everybody needs to pray that we pass the SAVE Act.
Yes,
That's
call your
Because the
senator.
SAVE Act is gonna save our country.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Call your senator, call John Cornyn's office.
I don't think so.
Closing statements. Orlando, you take it away.
Well, as a lifelong Republican, I'm just going to make an editorial comment. In the 80s, I remember when Kay Bailey Hutchison was running for U.S. Senate,
I remember that.
Yes.
the Texas Federation of Republican Women leased an entire floor at 1900 West Loop South. And for weeks, they staffed those phones and called every Republican to get them out to vote. And I don't see those phone banks anymore. I don't see that level of enthusiasm. I don't see that among Republicans. So my plea to you folks is to re-energize, because we are literally fighting for our political lives. I already said that I believe I'm the best qualified, and the data shows that. Look at my election results. I've already told you that I outperformed Dan Patrick, Paxton, Greg Abbott, everybody on the ballot. I get more votes in Harris County than any of those. I got more votes than my dear friend Alex Mueller. So my performance is already set in stone. You can look at it at the Harris County clerk's office, the historical returns. I am willing to work my tail off at my old age, but I need backup. It's like a football team. Can't have just quarterback throwing out passes. You need your linemen, your fullbacks, the entire team. And I'm concerned about our team, so I just want to motivate you folks. Again, let me repeat. This is the most critical county race that we will ever see, because whoever you elect will be in charge of redistricting the county in 2030.
I could just assure you that the last time we had a headquarters here in Pasadena, we turned out the top 3 phone bank in the state. So we
They
intend
don't
to,
have phone bank over
Are
here.
you
we
gonna fire that
intend to
up?
duplicate that.
Yep.
Warren, you're up.
Way back in the day.
The phone banks are critical to get out to vote. A lot of people run for office for a lot of reasons. Fame and fortune. They want to be the first to throw out the baseball at a baseball game. I could care less. I am here to fix something because I know I can do it. I know what's wrong. I've been studying it, and I have surprised everyone so far, and I will keep surprising people because we have the right message. And I'll do everything I can in my power to make Harris County great again. I mean, this is a great place. I've been here all my life, and we can do it. So I don't know what much else to say. I mean, this is it. I'm not doing this again. I can't believe I'm doing it now, to be honest with you.
You're surprised it made it this far.
Well, because if Adele or Alex Mueller had won last time, I wouldn't be running now. I'd be at the country. But no, they didn't win. And they didn't win because they didn't get the message out. They didn't do everything that they had to do to win. So, taking from what they did, I'm going to do it better. And I promise I'll stay with Harris County as long as it takes to get it moving in the right direction. As the back of my card says, we're on the wrong tracks. If we stay on the same track, we're going to end up at the very same place every time. So let's get on the right track. Let's get on that train with me and help me make this county the best place you've ever seen. Thank you.
Give them all a hand. Thank you guys, appreciate it.